The massive annual event that is Halloween Horror Nights Orlando is critically acclaimed as one of the greatest Halloween events in the entire world.
Today, we're here to highlight the 10 houses at this year's event that you have to see.
We are for the love of theme parks, and this is every Halloween Horror Nights house,
ranked from worst to best.
Quickly, I would like to thank Universal Orlando for the invite out to this year's media fan event.
And allowing us to film in all of the houses. Seriously, it means the world to us.
Thank y'all so much. Kicking off with number 10, Hellblock Horror.
Now, we absolutely hate that we had to put any houses at the bottom of our list.
But unfortunately, that's how lists work, so... Originally, Hellblock Horror was rumored to be themed after Evil Dead.
A sort of cross-promotion with the upcoming film in the franchise, titled Evil Dead Rise.
But because the release of the movie was pushed back to 2023, this house was themed to Hellblock Horror.
As these monsters escape their prison, there's no escape for you. Enter a prison whose savage inmates are monstrous creatures as they break free from their cells. It's a death sentence for everyone.
Ooh, spooky.
Listen, I wanted to include the official description from Universal somewhere. I didn't write that. I just want to say that every single scare actor in this house has absolutely killed it on a nightly basis.
Yes, this poor ranking is 90% due to the fact that the theme was forced to have a 180-degree pivot, possibly just weeks before the event officially began.
Which is actually very similar to our next house on the list as well. Ryan, do you want to clue them in?
Number 9, Spirits of the Coven. Originally rumored as a Fear Street house, Spirits of the Coven was yet another victim to the dreaded Lost IP curse.
Which really sucks, because Fear Street would have been an amazing house. Like, just look at that facade. Spirits of the Coven invites you to a 1920s speakeasy as bewitchingly beautiful flapper witches slowly transform into their true selves as you travel deeper and deeper into the depths of their lair.
Which sounds amazing, but the execution was a bit of a miss.
Hold on, there are some major positives though, like the very first scare in the house doesn't even involve a scare actor.
What's the password?
Not gonna lie, that one got me on the first walkthrough, but now every time I walk through, I feel the need to yell in sync with that audio like it's a pop-punk show. What's the password? And probably my favorite room in this house, which was the lounge, which includes this terrifyingly beautiful roulette wheel.
When walking through this room, if you look closely, you can find that the victim's eyeball has fallen off and landed in the 31 slot on the wheel. A nod to the fact that Halloween Horror Nights 2022 is the event's 31st anniversary.
I know what y'all are thinking. How did you get such clear photos of this room like while the lights were on? Well,
Universal Studios Orlando offers Unmasking the Horror tours, which takes guests behind the scenes for lights-on tours of Halloween Horror Nights houses. They have a 3-house and a 6-house tour, which I, Isabel, went on both.
And I only went on the 6-house tour, but still, these tours are 100% worth the money for those who are super fans of the event, just like ourselves.
During these tours, photos are allowed in most of the houses, but video is not. It's important to mention that although this house was pretty underwhelming during the first few runs, the creative teams at Universal are constantly changing and modifying the experience as the event goes on.
You'll often see audio re-recording, moving of scares, and lighting enhancements happening throughout the first few weeks of the event.
One house that sees nightly change is...
Number 8, Universal Monsters Legends Collide.
I know. There are some of you who will be very upset with our placement of this house on our list, but let us explain.
Halloween Horror Nights did an amazing job with their Icons house last year.
If you're not familiar with that house, it was one that took the star characters from Halloween Horror Nights past and threw them in one hodgepodge of a house, where, at the end, one of the icons sat upon a throne as a winner.
It was highly regarded as one of, if not the best house last year.
And I think that was the idea going into Legends Collide, but I don't think it delivered.
The Wolfman and Dracula face off with the mummy in an unnamed Egyptian archaeological dig site, the mummy's home turf.
It's throughout these narrow catacombs that all 3 Universal icons battle, which is kind of hard to see. Not at any point during my first walkthrough, at least.
Yeah, they're kind of attacking you. Maybe it's hard to tell.
I just wish there was a more cohesive story being told here.
One major takeaway is the ending, or at least it should be, and I don't know how it turned out. Yeah.
Much like the Icons house from the previous year, this house had a winner at the end.
Unlike Icons, where at any point in the evening, the winner could be one of many characters, the Legends Collide house has one winner per night.
But this final room is like a small, probably 10 by 10 corner you turn as you're exiting the house.
I was fully expecting some big grand, like, exit or some final battle or something, but the winner is just there in a tiny room on a 2-foot platform with a severed head of another monster. Cool, I guess.
It does feel really weird ranking this house so low just because of the ending, but Horror Nights, whether it's widely acknowledged or not, is masterful at their unique form of storytelling, and it was a miss for us.
Number 7, Fiesta De Chupacabras.
Right off the bat, this house is so different than anything we've ever seen at Halloween Horror Nights.
All of the classic Halloween tropes are absent in this house, and in their place, a colorful fiesta in a Latin American village that turns sour as the legendary creature, the Chupacabra, wreaks havoc on us, the tourists.
Obviously, the puppets are probably the coolest part of the house. Some of them are hand-operated, some of them are, like, machine-operated.
I really wish the lighting was a little bit better in some of these shots of the walkthrough, but we do have some great photos from the Behind the Screams tour, and here's one of them right here.
Another really cool part of this house is that all of the dialogue you hear in the soundtrack is in Spanish.
Now, we don't know if that's something that's been done before in Horror Nights history, but I'm sure somebody will let us know in the comments below. I really like this one, and it definitely falls in less of the jump scary category and more in the check out this amazing scene that's happening right in front of you.
So theatrical.
I guess. Yeah, anyway, on to number 6. Number 6, The Horrors of Blumhouse.
Get ready for the blood-curdling double feature of Blumhouse Horror, as your Scream Squad faces a ruthless serial killer in Freaky and an evil kidnapper in the relentlessly terrifying Black Phone. If you couldn't tell, that was the description that Universal provided for this house.
Which is more of a prompt than what Universal Creative got when they were building the Black Phone portion of this house.
Yes, one of the things we learned on our tour was that during construction of this house, the movie had not even been released yet, so they were literally just going off of trailers.
Maybe that might be the reason the second portion of this house was extremely dark.
Previous to attending Halloween Horror Nights, we made sure to watch both the Black Phone and Freaky.
We actually loved both, like, a lot. And the Freaky portion of this house was really good. It featured some of the most iconic kills from the opening scene of this movie, and did a great job of communicating the story, even if the only context you have is from the teaser they showed in the line.
The only reason we didn't rank this one higher is because of how the second half played out, and it's not at all on the scare actors or the set designers.
If anything, it kind of lands on the lighting team.
Pro tip, leave this one for later in the night. You gotta give your eyes some time to adjust to the darkness, so that way you're not walking from, like, bright daylight into, I can't see 5 feet in front of my face.
And after you do that, please come back to this video and comment thank you, because trust me, you're gonna want to do this. Number 5, Descendants of Destruction. Oh my gosh, this house.
This house is one of the 2 backstage tent houses they have this year, and boy did they really use the space they had to work with.
In this post-apocalyptic subway station,
you come face to face with hungry mutants looking to feast on the last remnants of humanity.
2 major points in this house we'd like to highlight is one being the entire freaking subway car in this tent. Like, look at this.
Well, it's not really an entire car, it's only actually got one half visible, but it looks like it goes on and on and on.
With the help of smoke and, like, literally smoke and mirrors.
Yes.
They have this mirror that's placed at the very perfect. I think we have a good photo of this, maybe not. And the number 2 reason this house is so great is the first scare. You enter from an indoor-outdoor subway station entrance, and spoiler alert.
This whole video is spoiler alerts, so...
Regardless, spoiler alert. As you enter this house, on your left-hand side is a sneaky little ghillie suit.
If you're not, like, an avid hunter or, like, a paintball aficionado, a ghillie suit is actually, like, a type of camouflage clothing that is designed to blend into the background. So, like, either, like, foliage or, like, snow or sand. So, like, truly hidden.
And in this case, to hide within the overgrown subway station that is the first scene. And this sucker got me real good, but in a fun way. I know it's really early in the season, but I think it's possible this little bush can be this year's icon. Last year they had Lil Boo. May I suggest Lil Bush?
No.
No?
No, absolutely not.
Come on. Can you think of the amount of ghillie suits, ghillie shirts, and ghillie popcorn buckets they could sell?
Anyways, on to number 4.
Number 4, Halloween. Halloween Horror Nights has had a handful of visits from Michael Myers in the past. 4 times to be exact.
This time, the horror icon returns to revisit the 1978 classic, Halloween.
For us, this house is held in such high regard because 1, it's the ultimate classic.
And 2, because of the sheer amount of scares it has.
It's kind of hard to explain, but there's such a variety in the scares this house has.
Obviously, the source material is great, but how scary can you be when every time you're getting scared, it's the same masked dude with a knife?
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
Yes.
The highlight by far is the sheets. I don't know what it was, but weaving through harmless drying laundry as lightning strikes and Michael Myers lunges at you, oh my god.
It provided some relief from the traditional boo hole scares found everywhere else at the event.
And the end gauntlet.
Don't even get me started on that.
Number 3, The Weeknd After Hours Nightmare.
The Weeknd.
Stealing the hearts of every modern music lover in attendance at horror nights, and the centerpiece on the thumbnail of every YouTube video covering this year's event.
In all seriousness, I really did enjoy this house. It's a refreshing take on what many would consider a massive compilation house.
The mixture of practical lighting and projection effects in this house, paired with the iconic visuals from music videos spanning the career of The Weeknd, make this the ultimate vibe house. And I'm not even a fan of The Weeknd's music. I tried listening to a full album the night before the event began, and I couldn't even get through it. I'm so sorry.
People within the Halloween Horror Nights community have been hating on this house from the get-go, so I guess our expectations were low.
But there are a fair amount of good times to be had in this house, even if you're not a fan.
So what, you weren't fearing for your life? That's not the entire point of this event.
Overall, this one is super solid, but we probably wouldn't wait over an hour for it.
Which you will see on many nights.
But it is still cracking the top 3 of our must-do houses this year. Number 2, Bugs Eaten Alive.
I know we had a trigger warning at the beginning of this video, but I would like to reiterate again that this one has some real creepy crawlies.
I love this house. So get this, you're visiting an expo event called BugCon and enter the pavilion for a company that creates in-home heating and cooling units that also double as bug exterminating systems. But the second you enter this first room, the system starts going haywire,
turning the walls of this model home of the future into an epicenter for every entomophobe's worst nightmare. I will not go in this house.
We did go in this house on the tour. I have done it many times on my own, but she will not go. No. I know many of you won't either, but I'm sorry, but I love the whole aesthetic of this house. The set design, the World's Fair themed logos, the parody corporate imagery. This was one of the most impressive houses we saw on the Behind the Screams tour, and I can't believe the amount of bugs that were in this house. Like, something like, what, 40,000?
Actually, 37,425.
Okay, well, my memory is not that good, but a unique storytelling aspect of this house is that you actually make it out alive. You get saved in the end.
When approaching the exit, there's an army general with a walkie-talkie, like motioning for you to hurry and evacuate the area, and
during my walkthrough on the first night, I literally thought the scare actor was telling me to speed up because I was taking too much time, but that is actually part of the story.
By process of elimination, if you're already a big fan of this year's event, you know what's coming next.
Our number 1 pick for Halloween Horror Nights 2022 is number 1, Dead Man's Pier Winter's Wake.
Taking place in a New England fishing village, undead fishermen emerge from the waves to seek their revenge and drag you under.
The reason that makes this house number 1 on our list is somehow the creative director of this house, Dylan Kolaf, created a cinematic masterpiece.
Which is a super complicated thing to do when you can't control where the guest is looking at all times.
And that is actually exactly why the Omnimover system was invented for rides like the Haunted Mansion, if you're familiar.
At every turn in this house, there are beautiful landscapes, and this shipwreck scene is, oh my god, chef's kiss.
Not to mention the Easter eggs from past Universal rides and haunted houses, including the Stranger Things house, wink wink, nudge nudge.
The house culminates with dragging guests underwater, not literally, to join the dead fishermen in the sea.
Where you can find a scare actor on a glider system where they are swimming as scares happen from the other side.
Some of the houses have very distinct smells, and this one is probably the most memorable.
It's kind of like a combination of Pirates of the Caribbean and the forest scene from the E.T. ride. If you know what I'm talking about, you already know how great this is.
Oh, and we almost forgot to mention, this house is freezing cold.
Like 50 degrees, maybe even less than that. I know a lot of the scare actors had to like bundle up after the first few nights. It's been really, really cold.
Thank you so much for watching this video.
If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. We are still a new growing channel, and if you like other theme park content as well, this is the place to be. We will see you guys real soon. Later.